All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going through a truly wild explainer that tracks a cinematic 24-hour survival challenge set in the freezing, completely untouched snowy plains of 30,000 BC. If you've ever wondered how our modern survival instincts would hold up against the raw, prehistoric power of the last ice age, well, you're in exactly the right place. We are breaking down a gripping vlog experience where the stakes are quite literally life and death. We're thrown right into the deep end immediately. The host vlog instantly drops us into this high-stakes panic. Picture this. A heavy snowstorm is just swirling around. The camera is shaking, and she's shouting that there are no roads, no cities, absolutely no people anywhere. Just as she pans across these giant snowy plains to show us that there is literally only ice everywhere, this massive distant animal, Trumpet, suddenly echoes across the frozen landscape. It is such a fantastic cold open. It instantly grabs your attention and refuses to let go.
So here is the deal. The challenge is incredibly straightforward but absolutely brutal. Survive a freezing world filled with giant roaming animals for one full day. Right after that terrifying trumpet sound, the framing is perfectly set. For the next 24 hours, our host has to make it in 30,000 BC. She has no idea exactly where she is, it's freezing cold, and as we just heard, she is definitely not alone out there. It's a simple premise, but it makes this whole learning journey so focused and intense.
To pull this off, she is up against a super strict timeline. Hour 0 is just the sheer shock of being dropped in. Then, by hour 8, it's a desperate race to construct some sort of shelter before sunset. Hour 16 is all about surviving the freezing midnight scare, and hour 24 is the ultimate goal, making it to sunrise. It's a literal race against time, and of course, plummeting temperatures.
Okay, so to really understand what we're dealing with, we have to talk about the Pleistocene epoch. As the host starts exploring the untouched snow, she brings up this specific scientific period. We are talking about an era entirely untouched by modern human civilization. A time when these massive ice sheets covered huge areas of the Earth. It's an environment so extreme that our modern survival expectations are practically useless. The only things really thriving here are highly adapted megafauna, like woolly mammoths.
And speaking of megafauna, as she's exploring the deep snow, she stumbles on something that instantly cranks up the suspense. She just stops dead in her tracks, looks down, and goes, "Wait, those footprints are huge." It's that chilling moment of realization that whatever made those massive, deep impressions in the snow is likely very, very close by. You can hear her wondering aloud if she should follow them, and the dramatic tension really starts to spike here.
She manages to watch them from a safe distance, and the facts here are just staggering. These creatures roam in massive herds. They are significantly bigger than modern elephants, and they are completely covered in incredibly thick fur just to survive this brutal cold. She observes the herd silently, really hoping they don't notice her, and it gives us this stunning front-row seat to the sheer scale and majesty of the Pleistocene epoch.
But here's the catch. You can't just stand around sightseeing. The sun is starting to set, and the host points out that the temperature is dropping incredibly fast. The awe of seeing the mammoths is quickly replaced by the terrifying reality of the elements. This is the exact moment we pivot from exploration to pure survival mode. If she doesn't secure some kind of protection from the cold immediately, the freezing Ice Age night will be impossible to survive. What happens next is this frantic montage of survival skills. She has to build a tiny shelter before darkness completely takes over. And there's a clear three-step emergency process happening here. Gathering whatever wood she can find, hauling heavy stones, and desperately digging out a snow wall. As she puts it, this isn't exactly a luxury hotel, but it is the absolute bare minimum required to create a barrier between herself and that unforgiving Ice Age wind. Now, shelter's only half the battle, right? Finding food is a massive problem when you strip away all our modern conveniences. There are obviously no grocery stores or pizza deliveries in 30,000 BC. Instead, she's forced to forage for these edible river plants that, let's just say, definitely do not taste like pizza. She finds some greenery near the frozen river, takes a bite, and grimaces. It's actually a stark, slightly funny reminder of how deeply we rely on modern supply chains every single day. By this point, the reality of hunger is really setting in, right as these strange sounds and distant growls start echoing through the twilight. The survival level has officially hit difficult. The sun is going down, the temperature is plunging, her stomach is empty, and the psychological weight of the whole environment is really pressing in. And then she hears something, a low growl in the distance that forces her to zoom in on the horizon. Just put yourself in her shoes for a second.
Imagine backing away slowly as you spot the terrifying silhouette of a saber-toothed cat in the distance. I mean, what would you even do? Our host realizes that large carnivores lived right alongside those giant mammoths. She actually captures the distant shape of an Ice Age predator on camera, whispers in pure fear, and makes the incredibly smart decision to back away very, very slowly. Remember, this isn't a zoo. There are no protective fences out here.
With the predator threat very real, she retreats back to her shelter. Huddled near a tiny fire as darkness completely falls, the psychological toll of isolation in 30,000 BC becomes incredibly apparent. She sits by the flames and admits right to the camera, "This is officially the scariest night of my life." It's such a powerful moment of vulnerability that really grounds this whole explainer. It's not just about the physical cold, it's about the absolute isolation of being the only human for thousands of miles.
But then, there's this wild shift in perspective. Despite a wind that feels like it's literally trying to freeze her solid, she notes the surreal beauty of the ancient stars and the haunting echoes of mammoths in the dark. It's a fascinating contrast. On one hand, she is freezing, and the wind is howling endlessly. But on the other, she points the camera up to reveal this brilliantly clear, unpolluted starry sky. And underneath those stars, the distant calls of the mammoth herds echo. It is terrifying, yet profoundly beautiful.
But of course, that quiet awe doesn't last. We reach peak tension when a loud noise jolts the host awake. Her shaking flashlight illuminates the terrifying sound of heavy footsteps just outside her thin snow wall. She wakes up suddenly, whispering, "What was that?" You can actually hear the crunching of snow. Heavy, deliberate footsteps right outside her camp. She is just begging the universe that it isn't a predator. You can literally feel the tension radiating through the screen as she realizes her tiny snow wall is absolutely no match for whatever is out there.
Thankfully, agonizing minute by agonizing minute, the footsteps eventually fade away. After what was definitely a sleepless night, a beautiful sunrise over the frozen plains signals that she actually made it. The 24 hours are completed. She steps out of the tiny shelter, the camera captures the stunning morning light, and she just shouts in victory. The ultimate endurance test to the prehistoric world has actually been survived.
Looking out at the mammoths against the morning sky, the landscape completely transforms from a terrifying ordeal into a breathtaking alien world. With the storm gone and the sun reflecting off the ice, she watches the mammoths peacefully walking in the distance. She notes that the Ice Age actually looks amazing during sunrise. It truly feels like another planet entirely. By surviving the night, she got to witness a pristine, ancient ecosystem that no modern human has ever truly laid eyes on.
It's just an incredible journey from pure panic to profound awe. After witnessing the freezing temperatures, the terrifying predators, the frantic shelter building, and the immense, overwhelming challenges of the Pleistocene epoch, I have to ask you, do you have what it takes? If you were dropped into those endless snowy plains with nothing but your bare hands and your wits, could you survive 24 hours in the Ice Age?